afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Propagandacast. Company is one episode with me, a host, Imperial Dane, Master Propaganda, Hero Strike, Defender of the Fatherland. We're off here to 1 vs 1 on the ever-venerable Simwa. Between the south, we got here Aveator, fighting here for the Wehrmacht, Germany, Deutschland. Taking on the role here of the 2nd Panzer Division versus in the north, we got here Symbiosis, fighting for America, freedom, democracy. Taking on the role here of the 2nd Armored Division, tasked with breaking through the Kraut lines. We are looking here at a double engineer and double pioneer starting for both players. Again, pretty standard stuff there, nothing that's going to pop eyes out of their sockets, and if they do, you might want to see a physician about that. So we'll have here a bike start from Aveator, going in aggressively there, though I still prefer the Schwimwagen personally since it can reverse, which overall makes it a lot easier to move about compared to the bike. So of course, just a bit of personal difference there. We got points being grabbed here, both basically just moving west and east here for both sides. Grabbing the nearby fuel point. Got the bike rushing out there for Aveator. And Germany. Step on it, Helmut. We need to get there fast. Needs to be a target here for the bike. Whoa, that was quite a sharp turn there. I hope someone didn't throw up their lunch. But there you go, using Cody out in the oven by the bike. There we go. Quick bit of damage being done there already. Pushing them a bit about, which again the bike isn't too good at. Again, this is where the Schwimwagen Ultra excels. But there we go, engineers on that prowl here for the bike, the motorcycle. Quickly rolling away here. Down south, points being grabbed there by Pioneers, being westwards there as well. No attempt to carry in the centre here. And like how there's been companies too, both players were just rushing towards the centre like moths to a flame. We got an MD-42 arriving here for Aveator, noting no infantry as of yet for him. But they're going to get caught. He should try and, I think, bait the rifle into the MD-42 if possible, or at least, not get his bike blown to bits. I think that would serve him quite admirably, to say the least. Fuel point there being secured in the south, munitions secured. We got victory point there, and the next munitions point being secured here. There we go. Bike, MD-42 together. And Fult's going to be on the way there for Aveator. For Symbiosis, we just got a lot more riflemen out there. And there we go. I'm getting caught here by the MD-42. 1200 rounds per minute going over them. And there we go. Straight through their heads, or at least in the case of Joe. Straight through it. So there you go. Riflemen suppressed. Bike moving in there for extra damage up close. Of course, mind you, suppressed troops, while they do suffer an accuracy penalty, it doesn't really affect vehicles because they're sufficiently large targets. So that's a little detail to keep in mind. This cost Aveator his bike because apparently he wasn't aware of it. But that's very much the case there. I mean, remember, it doesn't matter if the suppressed the target is sufficiently big enough. And bikes very much fall into the spectrum of big enough. We got more forces on the way there for Aveator. A bit late for getting out some infantry, I would say here, but we'll have to see how it works out. We got Ralph and then we got Fulton moving up, sandbagging down them before 2 needs to get a bit closer to support. Pioneer sneaking about, flying Revers could help out here, Mr. Aveator a bit. No take of them. We got nothing to think further here from Symbiosis, otherwise grabbed a fat chunk of the map there. Got push into the south here, going to harass him, might even go straight for the fuel point here right next to his opponent's base. Displaying some good awareness of the map. Fulton they're flying away here, not using the sandbags, so the sandbags haven't, I think, poorly placed. Rather than falling a bit back, though, here, trying to buy time. Fulton goes ready, going to have to counterattack here to deal with a point there. And the Pioneers doing nothing. Do we have any tag up here for Aveator? 9 is the answer. 9. Just going to sneak up there. Rifleman continues to be a nuisance here, tying up valuable troops for Aviators. You try and deal with them permanently or move on. In the south here, we've got Phosphorus Riflemen. Riflemen by the point can't quite so easily defend themselves, but still, they should be able to run the point neutral, even if Aveator gets in some hits there on the Riflemen. There we go, point neutral. Moving up closer, which is not really where they want to be. Again, this is where the theoretical advantage of the Phosphorus range should be kicking in, but of course, it's very much theoretical. We got now the MD-42 out there, though, for Aveator. Rifleman moving up here against the MD-42. Except it's been set up in such a manner it can't actually see the bleeding target. Fighting around here, Pioneers versus Rifleman forces point from the north. They're set up well there by Aveator. Got the MD-42 moving up here, northern point being secured, and we got the missions there finally secured as well here by Aveator. But certainly a hard point over the fight over the fuel point there. MD-42 set up. The problem is it's not within range. He's really having a rough time over here. Fulton taking trouble as well. They're getting flanked by Riflemen. Core point being secured as well there by Symbiosis. And there we go, MD-42 finally opens up there on Symbiosis' rifleman. We got take-up being done there, and there we go, Pioneers push back. Cut-off point secured. Aviator needs to get back, and he needs to get back really, really hard soon. Sounds like grenades or for mines. So there we go. Pretty rough start here. Pretty rough start. Again, do some awkward machine gun positioning, but also, again, not really fighting against the house here very efficiently. Rather cost Aviator some early ground and rather gave Symbiosis a brute fuel advantage ultimately over him. He needs to take up with the Kriegbergs as soon as he can. Of course, there's just been a huge manpower loss for him, so it's going to take a bit of while before he can. In the meanwhile, Symbiosis is pushing his rifle advantage pretty hard with the BAR upgrade, further strengthening his early hand. It's only going to make it harder here for Aviator to push forwards. Pushing southwards, I need to be careful again, sending his MD42 first. Always a rather risky endeavor, if you will, rather risky. Always something to be careful and mindful of. Let's set up here, we got riflemen up with a BAR, 74-2 can sort of cover, but there's very much a spot here where they can sneak up. Krieg barracks down here, focus Pioneers versus Engineers. There we go, almost got them wiped. Small victory there, I suppose, for Aviator, but beyond that, not a lot here. Rifleman remaining there as a threat. Ready to fall into the rear here of Symbiosis, or Aviator. There you go, Symbiosis Rifleman engaging this other squad moving up here. Pioneers will need to keep the flank clear while the MD42 moves up. We got flamethrowers on the way here, occupying the house. Trying to deal here. We got the machine gun bunker as well, though. They're saving, in this case, Aviator's flank here from what has been quite nasty. And there you go, rifle force back. Now Aviator needs to get moving. He needs to get moving pretty damn fast. And he still needs a Krieg barracks up. At the very least, he needs to get a medic bunker up around here so he can that way support his front line here and quickly get out some Grenadiers that way. Because right now, though, he could very quickly run into a lot of trouble there versus Symbiosis. Force moving up here. Need to get in front of the church here. Basically, right here is the best position to be. Laying up sandbags. A bit risky with the current positioning. Remember, you take more damage while set up stuff. In this case, Symbiosis just targets the sandbags and wrecks them because they are very quickly destroyed when they're not finished. In this case, it seems to work out a bit. Here, Symbiosis retreats and takes some losses there. Carl, Joe dropping dead. More movement here in the east as he tries to push through there. Good. And we got snipers on the way for Aviator. He's going more Pioneers, which means he's going to have, I think, roughly 3 Pioneer squads. Might be a bit much in the early game. I do think, again, he should prioritize a Krieg barracks or, failing that, a medic bunker at the very least. He also needs to be careful he doesn't extend too far. The Wehrmacht, like in Companies 2, is very much so dependent on working its units together for maximum effect. So if he extends too far, he's going to be a very... Set the MD42 up better. You just saw what happened to that 3 minutes ago, Aviator. That won't work. It's a huge blind spot here. The shrubbery of not seeing through it. They don't have X-ray vision. They're not Superman. They haven't arrived from the planet Blitzkrieg. Anyways, Krieg bags up there for Aviator. Sniper moving up here. Volkswagen's grabbing the center victory point, but we can see we've got riflemen heading Engineers. We've got a support or supply out up here for Symbiosis. Plus a tree at center there. Volkswagen they need to fall back pretty schnell. Point there being secured. MD42 needs to keep better pace for the front line here, or they'll be better, or there. Mines being laid down, that is good there for Aviator. Need to get the MD42 up to support the troops in the center. Aviator, mach schnell. Krieg bags up though, could go for some Grenadiers. Half tax I think could also be an option here. Mort wouldn't be half bad either. What also would be nice would be better machine gun positioning here though for Aviator. He's very much too lax with it. I definitely think that's a room for improvement for Aviator, just utilising the same machine gun much better. I mean, again, for the Wehrmacht, heavy machine gun usage is borderline critical. And again, note here, again, could utilise the house, which has, I think, overall pretty decent coverage. Instead, he stands next to the house, which certainly isn't helping him. Sniper pushed back. MD Pioneers rush back. So we've got the MD42 digging with some troops on the flank, while Pioneers are dealing with the other riflemen trying to hit there. We got Fultz inside the house, but they're about to get wiped. Quickly cut. Casualties are piling up here for Aviator. And Pioneers could be wiped. MD42 falls back. Do we have any Grenadiers? Yes, indeed. But certainly looking pretty bad here for Aviator versus Symbiosis. Looking pretty bad. Again, 2-0 extended. MD42's not part of the core force, which again is pretty not good. There you go, we got some Grenadiers out here for Aviator, some more hardened infantry that can maybe carry the fight a bit better here for him, rather than the Fultz Grenadiers, who certainly suffered quite gruesomely at Aviator's hands. Of course, also Symbiosis. Grenadiers can stand to operate a bit more independently of the machine guns, but the Fultz Grenadiers very much can't, or they need to work together in groups. Fultz Grenadiers are very much a not lone wolf unit. I mean, they are very much sort of, you use them in part of larger formations. Again, either are the Fultz Grenadiers or support weapons. They do not operate at all on their own. They can't. I mean, even using a bike, the person going to prefer using the Schwimmwagen will work for them, but they cannot operate on their own. They will get massacred on their own on this. Your opponent is a complete pillock. And as a rule of thumb, assuming your opponent is a complete pillock is a very bad approach. And he's rather than getting slaughtered by the MD42 sniper combo, but he needs to get back on the map, he needs to move ahead more aggressively, but again, he needs to keep it all supporting and work together. We got the Kampf set up there. Need to get some veterans up, but again, he needs to get moving. Again, there's too much he's standing about doing bugger all, which again is not good. We got here veterans going up, and meanwhile we can see tech up here for Symbiosis. Again, he's not lax, he's moving ahead very aggressively, and at the 11-minute mark, he's able to build a tank depot up, and again, he's now first got a single Grenadier squad up, and he's finally getting some veterans here up. So this is going to be rough for Aviator. Again, the Grenadiers will help, and furthermore, a medic bunker will help also immensely if it gets around to actually getting one. That's again the key element, that will get one up. Again, I would recommend a medic bunker around here or here, so that way, you know, collect some of the wounded, and that way, long term, give them something more to pressure the riflemen with BARs with. In this case, I imagine a steel hand grenade will be used, and in this case, push back. Symbiosis quickly senses the steel hand grenade coming and uses his Yankee sense to get out of there. Rifle engineer spotted and quickly helped out with MD42 and sniper. Casualties quickly piling up here in the north. Fox's Grenadier supported from the riflemen. Further pushing forward. Riflemen quickly be out of trouble and are forced away. You can see now Aviator's doing a lot better again. The force is all of a sudden a bit more coherent. There's Grenadiers. Mine that went off. Good job there for Symbiosis mining up, by the way. Back here we got veterans up for the support units. Don't know that was necessary. I think she's just trying to aim up for either some tech or a pack, something like that. Tech depot for Symbiosis so far. Very quiet. It's good. Sandbags laying down there. Pack 38 on the way there for Aviator and the 2nd Panzer Division. Man's going down by the victory point. Gute Arbeit. Leute. We got mines here. Both players sort of being very fair over that. No sign of anything further there. Fultz reinforcing. Still no command bunker for Aviator. Bit of fighting around here. Fultz's engineers clashing with Sniper MD42 support. Rifle moving up. They should be able to fire down here. And the Fultz gunners will be forced to retreat. Up north, engineers hanging back. And we got a large rifle force moving in there for Symbiosis. And nothing going on there from the tank depot. We got Grenadiers falling back. We got mines here. Good spot. And northern missions being secured. So again, Aviator now standing much stronger here than he did in the first few minutes of the game. He's more coherent, focused, and clear-headed. Panzerschreck on the way for the Grenadiers. He's clearly worried about enemy vehicles. I'm questioning if he's ready for a tank, though. At least he's taking up there. If we get out a quick Stug, though he should be, I think, largely inoculated versus the initial ravages of a Sherman, as long as he plays it correctly. Plus, for an Nebelwerfer or an armored car to assist, and he should be off, I think, reasonably well. Reasonably. As long as he doesn't do anything too silly. We got Fultz here, but again, note, they are very much operating on their own, which again, as I've established, they're not very good at. So right here, punished for that pretty hard, particularly as it's already in a poor condition. Rubbing against the MD42. And they go up closer, taking fire, need to get troops supporting it ultimately. You got flamethrower engines, you've got rocket moving up, he needs to retreat the MD42 before it's too late, and in fact it might already be what is known as too bloody late. Bit of fun here, sniper fire, MD42 they're being overwhelmed by more riflemen, some being pushed back, got the sniper hanging about here somewhere nearby. Unless he got wiped. Nope, got 7 kills there, and we got the assault phase ready here form. Also, I should have switch over to Symbiosis soon. I will do that now. Supply here going for infantry. Got the howitzer shoot ready. He's got here full rifleman. Oh, and he's also gone for sniper himself, actually. And there you go, catching the enemy sniper there, but looks like he does get away there. Pretty close. And we got a Sherman here on the way for Symbiosis at the 15-minute mark. The Freedom Can arriving. There we go. M4 hitting the field. Bit of fighting around here. Grenadiers popping up a grenade, and that could have been thrown a bit better. No sign of the thing there. The Sturm Armory for Aveator. I think he's prioritised that one because he's kind of behind. I mean, the Panzer Command, I think, is going to be a bit optimistic there. That's his current aim.
Sergeant, get an MG on the roof of this tin can.
There you go. Sherman got a 50 caliber up there. Rolling ahead. Double snipers out here trying to bleed out the Americans. It also strikes me as awfully optimistic. Again, why not just a medic bunker and a Sturm Armory? Got the Sherman rolling up. We got a Pack 38, but again, it can't really cover well. We got the Grenadiers with their Panzerschreck, their Raketen, Panzerbuchse, and there you go. Going to be firing up each other. Good hit there. Pack 30 turning about there. Snow's not enough clear about support, and there you go. Several hits there. Sherman down to half health already. Then we get the Grenadiers up there soon enough, but no. Sherman clears it in one hit and quickly calls in a howitzer barrage. One thing Sentinel Mountain Company uses is units get a lot faster wiped. Ooh, got the enemy sniper there as well, but yeah, really just survivability in Companies 1 could be so much worse than in Companies 2, which I think is something a lot of people forget. Blood's under fire here from the Sherman, casualties inflicted. More losses here. A lot of Panzerfaust there, taking further damage off. No sign of a Sturm Armory here for Aveator. These are taking losses, double snipers there, tank through them. Getting some damage in there on Symbiosis. We got a second bike out here for Aveator. I definitely feel at this point I've wasted manpower with all the rifling the BA's hours up. It's just not going to have much of an impact. We got the infantry opening up, they're quickly halting them. That is something. Both squads here suppressed. Snipers opening up as well there from afar. Panzerschreck almost got the Sherman there, but he's actually risking a bit. I mean, he could risk losing the Grenadiers like that. We got Fulton trying to get off a Panzerfaust there. Schnell Auto, the Panzerfaust. The Panzerfaust. No, not the rifle, the Panzerfaust Auto. Still, Sherman survives. Nothing further there from him. Snipers need to be careful. MD42 blasting away. He's got nothing here to sort of really halt it. If we can get into the church with the Grenadiers, you should be able to get it. The church, Aveator, that big thing, the big thing. Oh dear. It would have been safe as well from the Sherman inside the church. Why didn't you go for the church, Aveator? Why didn't you go for the church? Fulton needs to retreat. That was definitely not well handled there. So he almost got the Sherman, but he rather flopped it there by just not putting the Grenadiers into the church right next to the Sherman. Got another artillery strike down here. Need to retreat right away. MD42 wipe. That might even be getting knocked out by the artillery. Snipers moving in the south. The MD42 could stand to a bit about as well. I think he's aiming for the Panzer Command here. Tech-wise, definitely not a good decision there by Aveator. Tech-wise, that is definitely not a good one. Bravo Neves of the MD42 tearing into them here. 6 kills on that one. Infantry with Rangers now being available here for Symbiosis. We got a howitzer up. There he goes, building the Panzer Command. In this situation, though, you should definitely aim for the Panther. I mean, there's the theoretical option of the Panzer IV, but I think rather than a bit like the Oberkommando S in Companies 2, if you're behind, you don't want a Panzer IV, you want a Panther. That's kind of the issue here for Aveator. There's no doubt he is behind Symbiosis. He needs the Panther. There is absolutely no argument in there that you should go for anything else about the Panther. And of course, also you can think in mind about, besides being better in Companies 2, the Panther is also cheaper. I mean, that's also an important thing to keep in mind here about pricing a lot of the units. They're actually kind of cheaper, plus you actually get more resources. So overall, I mean, manpower-wise, it do cost a bit more in some ways. But ultimately, though, they end up being less of a loss fuel-wise, which is sort of what they kind of are in Companies 2. And for example, again, a Panther is notably cheaper. For example, that wise, in Companies 2, of course, manpower-wise, it's a lot more expensive. In fact, I think it's cost like 600 manpower, but fuel-wise, it's a lot cheaper. And of course, that sort of thing again in Companies 1, though. So, I mean, there are some differences there. Fuel, a lot cheaper. Manpower, though, more expensive. I think there's sort of like a 50% difference there, if you will. Though, of course, at the same time, there's also just more fuel available. There you go, Rifle moving up. Grenade here could help out a bit. Sniper MD42 doing what they can. Huge assault here. We got artillery running down. Direct hit on the sniper, sending him flying like a ragdoll. Artillery called in on the other MD42 as well here. Complete artillery chaos down Aviator. And he's got the Panzer Command up. But what will he go for it? MD42 wiped again. Sticky bombs up as well here for Symbiosis. Sticky bombs up. Grabbing the centre victory point. A bit of harassment in the south here from Aviator. Well, this is fun. I mean, again, medic bankers, I think, really would have done him a greater bit. Then they could maybe consider upgrading at least one of the first gun to these squads with an MP40, because in the closer quarters of, Samoa, in the centre here, the MP40 I think would also have been quite helpful here as rifling with the BARs. Got the shell moving up there. Veterans one already. Do anything further on the way there for him? No. And we got armor on the way there. But will it be the Panther or will it be the Panzer IV again? Panther, right choice. Panzer IV, wrong choice. Again, Symbiosis will have more resources here than in some ways than him. And again, he's got more forces on the field. So he really needs the Panther to establish some kind of, edge. Again, the Panzer IV will not establish an edge. It will remain parity, but it will not give him some kind of edge. And that's what he needs. Not parity, but an edge. Sherman's going to need some repairs. I think he's lost both of his machine guns too. And he went for the Panzer IV. He chose poorly. Anyways, right from there charging into the Grenadiers here. Quick grenade. Might help, but certainly questionable. At least he hasn't gone for light machine gun on the Grenadiers. I mean, that'd be really bad. Follows the versus Rifleman. Shots fired here. And more artillery raining down, I think. Yep. Plus grenades up for the Rifleman as well. Panzer IV rolling ahead. Bit of veterancy for the Panzer IV would be a great choice. I believe the first one just gives a bit of damage reduction for starters. Second sniper dies to the artillery. Second sniper dead. So, I mean, again, just veterans one for the Panzer IV can make a big difference. But again, he should have gone for the Panther. He should have gone for it. Pioneers in trouble for the Rifleman. But basically, what makes the Panther, better than the one in Companies 2 is basically, again, I mean, the thing with the Panther in Companies 2 is it has roughly the same damage as any other tank. But in Companies 1, it actually did more damage than most other tanks. Plus, it was actually kind of good versus infantry too. Plus, it was just, tough. And that's rather, again, the issue with the Companies 2 Panther. It just doesn't really do more damage. If at least it did that, it would probably be pretty good. So, I mean, really, I just think they should just buff that one a bit there. Anyways, Grenadiers moving up here. Panzer IV moving north first. We've got Engineers in a bit of trouble with the Panzer IV. We've got Pioneers supporting. And a bit of movement here, going for the victory point there. Rather than getting blasted by Grenadiers and Snipers up north here, we've got Engineers being pushed back here by the Panzerkampfwagen IV. Supporting the forces of the 2nd Panzer Division. Sherman blasting away there, folks are taking losses. And we got a 2nd Sherman on the way there for Symbiosis. More armor, more tanks, more freedom. Also, sandbags there. A common modification on Sherman tanks to trying to absorb damage, though apparently it only made it easier for shells to penetrate, so they're told to knock it off. But overall, tankers will do whatever they think makes them safer. And that includes throwing on sandbags. Some would add welded armor, which apparently was kind of effective. I mean, in some cases, they basically make improvised jumbo Shermans. Actually, as a little fun fact there. Others were just throwing whatever else they could get. Panzer IV, they're falling back. We got the Sherman there blasting away. Panzer IV gets a few decent hits, and we got here the 76mm gun on the way for the Sherman. And we got something more on the way here. Another Panzer IV. Ostwind? Was it Knights Crossholders? I don't think you can get a Panther that fast. Not with the kind of map control Aviators have throughout this match. We could check here. And it's the Ritter Kreuzträger, the Knights Crossholders. Again, another unit I'd like to see at least some sort of version of there for the Wehrmacht companies too, to be honest. Would help a lot there. Machine gun spotted, being wiped. BAR drop there, which he could secure with his Volksgun, but he hasn't. Instead, coming into contact here with the Sherman, which now has the 26mm gun on it. Of course, the thing is, though, that's not historically correct. That gun is way too big for that turret. In fact, that was the reason why they waited with upgrading their tanks, you know, because they could have out much sooner, but the turret was too small for it. It's the same reason why the Firefly was actually pretty inaccurate, had a slow rate of fire amongst other things, because the gun was too big for the turret. They needed a bigger turret to fit in the gun in to sort of make it operate, you know, decently. Got some benches up there for the Panzers though, finally. Let's quite say advancing here. Have the unique bit there of heroic armor, which means they can soak up a lot of damage. They can also take 2 sniper shots compared to anyone else. Panzer IV's going to need some repairs, at least get moving. It's only going to need some time off there from a Panther at this stage. He's also gone for terror tactics. Could help. At this point, I might just figure he'd be more likely to go for Blitzkrieg and try and save up for a Tiger or something. But there you go. Grenade off and... Right, yeah. Doesn't help much versus grenades in this set. Oh, he gets them out too late and they get wiped. Again, the grenade there, the nuclear pineapple as a known name companies. One, of course, always proves quite lethal there. So quite a loss there for Aviator. Sniper again. I think it would be better off with more Knights Crossholders at this stage, or Grenadiers, than another Sniper. Panzer IV doing what it can. Gonna need some up support here. Sniper wiped. It's the armoured fist of the Fasterland speaks. And we got more Pioneers on the way. Looking pretty bad here at this point. The Aviators barely got any victory points. Map control is back to being horrific. Oh, he's finally thrown on some weapons there. The BAR. Panzer IV being swamped. Gonna at least need to get into the house. Let's at least fight from a better position. The house! The house! Are you claustrophobic or something, Aviator? Bet you 2 for the Sherman. Oh dear, it's gonna, these might get a bit... Oh dear, they're gonna get wiped. They're gonna get wiped. He's gone for another bike at this stage. What is it with him and bikes? Panzer there drop. Pretty bad news there. Panzer IV damaged engine. Down to less than half health here. That's what Sherman's gonna get. We got artillery raining down the Panzer IV's position as well here. This is quickly turning very ugly for Aviator. There we go. Veteran D3 and ace in the making. Brad Pitt Jr. Anyways, Pioneers are getting annihilated here, and with this, I think it's safe to say Aviator is pretty much buggered. I mean, at this stage, he can go for a second Panzer IV, but it's not going to make a difference. Again, this is why, when you're behind, and you have a choice between a Panzer IV and a Panther, you go for the Panther. Panther would have been able to threaten Shermans a lot more. And we would have given Symbiosis a lot more trouble. Had he been ahead, the Panzer IV would have been a better choice, and he's going to knock that fast and brought up more. But when behind, he's using it to call in a V1 rocket into his base at last. Act of defiance. Because sure, why not? Got the howitzer. Well, there you go, GG. Game over. Victory for America. Freedom. Democracy. And thus ends the battle here. The 2nd Panzer Division has been routed by the 1st Armoured. A victory for Symbiosis, a loss for Aviator. Again, Aviator, better usage of machine guns, medic bunkers. Either should have gone for the Sturm Armory or he should have gone for a Panther. In this case, he went for neither. Also, too many snipers. too many snipers. And I even think his doctoral choice could have been better. I mean, say something like Blitzkrieg or Fortification, it would have served him a lot better versus Symbiosis. Symbiosis also played well though, good aggression, good map control, good use of Shermans. I mean, overall well played. So there you go, hope you enjoyed this little episode. If you did, subscribe, like, share and comment on it. See you another time. This is Imperial Dane signing off. Cheers.